What's going on all you gamers, here we are back with some more Outriders, and today I've been asked to actually go over a few things via some of the subscribers. Basically they want to know what mods are worth putting on their faserbeam, what ones are trash, what ones are absolutely S+ rank. Well, if you want to know what ones are worth having, then stay tuned, that's coming next. Welcome back all you guys and girls, as always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox, and of course a lot more Outriders and all the latest and greatest content coming soon, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. I'll be covering pretty much all of the looter shooter type games, Diablo 4 once it's out, Dark Alliance, all of the good stuff. But for today you're here to see what I think of the mods that come for faserbeam. Are there any really good ones that you should definitely have on? Are there ones that you can kind of get away with not using? Well, let's go over it. Right, so first off, don't worry about my stats. I think I've got no points in anything at the moment, so they will be a little bit on the low side. It's where I've been testing stuff out. But one thing to note, honestly, there are no truly awful mods for faserbeam. It all comes down to a little bit of your playstyle, what you're going for, and what kind of a build you're trying to adapt it to. That being said, also, there's one mod that I'm going to have to improvise on. I know exactly what it does, but if you've been subscribed to this channel for a little while, you'll know that I have not been able to get Ashen champion for love nor money. So I will give my verdict on that. However, also I haven't tested it out, so take it with a pinch of salt. But first off, I'm going to go hands down with this one right here. Now I'm kicking it off with this because this one right here, hands down, is now the go-to mod for faserbeam. If you want to stay alive, if you want to build where you can stay in amongst all of the ads, you can take as much damage pretty much as possible whilst getting off your faserbeam, this right here is the best mod for it. I've already likened it to the mitigation that you get from the actual golem. It's just the best hands down mod for defense for our pyromancer now. If you're using faserbeam, if you have any issues with survivability whatsoever, chuck this on. I would say this is one of the go-to and gold standard mods that you should have on your faserbeam pretty much on every build that I use faserbeam, unless I'm going for a really long range one where I don't think I'm going to be in amongst the mixed. And to be perfectly honest, with faserbeam, because of the fact that it has that slight radius around it, you pretty much should be to get a lot more extra kills. Next up, and another one that a lot of people seem to kind of sway away from, I think because it doesn't actually give any extra damage as such, they think that this one's not quite as good. I would say that this one right here is just as viable, and if I was going to pick just two mods to have on my faserbeam, it would be the volcanic armor and this one right here, size matters. Faserbeam increases the beam's radius by 100%. You hit so many extra enemies, you clear so much faster. It's not going to do any extra damage obviously, but it is going to do more damage in a wider area because of how many extra people you're going to capture. Whereas you might only hit 3 people with the small version, this might hit 6, 7, 8 upwards. Get in amongst all of them, fire off this, aim in the distance at a big group and have a big group around you, and trust me, this right here will be your go-to mod for faserbeam for just absolutely clearing content and having a lot of fun with it. Now next up, and this is basically if you're going for a tank build. Away without this, I've done it quite a few times, but if you were going for tanky and you wanted to make sure 100% you never fell over, this right here, Healthy Lifestyle, is an absolutely amazing mod. Faserbeam boosts your health regeneration by 50% for 5 seconds after the skill ends. If you have already got volcanic armor on, this right here is very viable. If you want to include it in a build and you want to go tanky, especially if you've gone that middle firestorm tree with a lot of skills life leech, you're going to survive pretty much everything. It is amazing, but you can live without it. So if you can only choose this or volcanic armor, volcanic time will win out for myself, I would believe, just for the mitigation. 65% is ridiculously good, and being able to have that on tap and use it whenever you want is something you kind of just can't get away without. It's just too good to pass up, but this can work in some tanky builds, it's just down to your own playstyle. Don't choose this over volcanic armor, but if you want to make sure you survive, you can choose this in conjunction with it. Now, this right here, I would say is an absolutely outstanding mod, but you can get away without it. Basically, if you spec into bottom tree, this becomes much more viable, and that's frequent phaser. Faserbeam reduces the skill's cooldown by 30%. If you want to unleash Faserbeam 100 million times over, go middle tree, chuck this on, chuck on volcanic armor, and you will become very, very powerful. And obviously when you tap it, you're almost definitely going to survive. But you can get away without it, and it is quite tough to fit into some builds, so it's all down your playstyle. If you want to shave a couple of seconds off, you may well want to add this on. I wouldn't say it's essential though. If you're going that middle tree and you've got enough cooldown, you may well not need to put this in your build. If you've gone bottom tree, you may need to put it in, just because the actual time of the phaser beam will be heightened by a long way. I think it will be over like 10 seconds. So you may well need to put this into your build if you've spec'd off of that middle tree. If you've gone middle tree, in all honesty, it's going to be difficult to put into your build. But again, it's down to your playstyle. Next up, and this one right here, pure power. Phaser beam increases the skill's damage by 48,462. For myself, I've tried this with or without this. It gives you quite a bit of extra damage, it really does. But I've honestly found sometimes, and in most cases, again, if you wanted to, you can get away without this, as long as you have a lot of mods that increase damage. So for example, burnt out with the extra heat waves, or you've got, I don't know, something like a captain hunter, or maybe even if you've got a branded, you can get away without this. If you haven't got any of those on, you may want to spec into this for the extra damage. It does give a nice chunk of extra change to your damage, but again, it's not essential for the builds. I would say for myself, if you were going for 2 slots that you must 100% put into pretty much every phaser beam build, it's going to be this one right here, volcanic armor, and this one right here, size matters. As long as you have these two on your build, you're going to tear through everything. Make sure you can boost your anomaly power as high as possible. Make sure you've got burnt out on with a few heat waves. Probably have a captain hunter or something to that like in it, and anything else you want to put into your build is absolutely amazing. Honestly, for myself, I always try to put a damage absorber or something on, but as long as you can put in size matters and volcanic armor, the rest is down to your playstyle. Adjust it to your needs and see how you crack on. Now finally, I'm going to give my verdict on this one, and I absolutely wanted this mod from day one and can't find it. But yeah, this right here, Ashen Champion, is an amazing mod. If you want to do a significant chunk of damage, chuck this on your build if you have it, because it's so rare. This is the unicorn in my game. I've never seen it. I've never seen anyone pick it up. It is ridiculously hard to get from what I can see. But if you chuck it into a build, it will make your anomaly power go through the roof. So if you have high anomaly power, if you're chucking this on, it will make that single hit absolutely outstanding. You're going to be doing a significant chunk more, but obviously you're not going to be getting the fire damage. So your regen won't be as good. You'll do bigger single target damage, bigger damage overall, but your tick damage will go down because you won't be getting it from the damage from the flames. So Ashen Champion. Phaser beam inflicts ash on enemies instead of burn. Each enemy hit boosts your anomaly power by 20% for 10 seconds and stacks up to 5 times. Like I said, if you're trying a pure, massive, huge anomaly power where you're trying to boost everything, your damage, and just one shot absolutely everything, this right here is very viable and may make for some crazy fun builds. I would think especially in multiplayer. I don't think this will be quite as good in single player, but again, like I said, I can't test it because I can't actually find the mod. But let me know if you have got it, chuck it in the comments and let me know how you get on. For myself, I think it may make you struggle a little bit in single player unless you've got a lot of survivability. You may well be able to make it work, and I'm sure you'll get some absolutely insane damage numbers if you've chucked this on. Right, all you guys and girls, as always, for all things gaming, for all things Xbox. Take care, I'll see you on the next day.